Hey, hello, and how are you? Welcome back to Highmark Stadium. I feel like, Matt, we haven't been here in like a month now,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say that. Hey, hello, and how are you? Just hit especially different after a month away from not being inside the stadium. So we're back, and big win for the Bills.
Yeah, it feels good to be back, especially when you're covering a team who comes off a really big win. Again, 28-21, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the
Yep.
regular season, something that the Bills have done over the past couple of years. So a lot of ways to start this one, Matt, but I think you touch on the obvious guys, the playmakers,
Sure.
and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty, these fine-tuned details. I think Josh Allen played arguably maybe his best game aside from the second half performance against
Yeah.
the Ravens. I mean, game manager, beyond that,
Uh huh.
3 incompletions, a nearly 125 rating percentage, 3 total touchdowns,
Uh
two
huh.
with his legs there. When he needed to step up and provide the offensive spark that this team really hasn't had to take away the massive blowout against the
Yeah.
Panthers, Josh Allen, I thought, really stepped up today.
Unbelievably efficient game from Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He did not need to do everything. They ran the ball really, really well,
Mm-hmm.
but there were times when you needed him to make plays, and he did. I think about the pass he had to Dalton Kincaid, 47 yards, an absolute seed that set up a touchdown
Yep.
before the half. I think about a pass that he dropped into the bucket to to Dawson, knocks down
Yep.
the sideline. That was a really pretty throw. I even think about the play action pass to James Cook, where they kind of ran out the clock at that point. I think it was 3rd and 3,
Yep.
3rd and 4.
Huge.
So those are big moments, and you needed to see a big game from your MVP if you're going
Yep.
to beat the Chiefs, and that's what they got. I mean, listen, in a game where it's always talked about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, they've both always been spectacular. In this particular game, Josh Allen was better. Patrick Mahomes made some incredible plays.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen was better. A lot of that had to do with the pressure created by the Bills defense.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, but a really, really solid, clean, effective day for Josh Allen.
And like you said, he didn't have to do anything. I don't want to overlook
He
James
didn't have
Cook.
to do too much.
Too
right?
much,
Exactly.
yes.
Just like there was a lot of help around him, which is
James,
good.
James Cook had 114 yards too.
Yeah.
Like if for one moment too, you know, like the meme where it's just like it's that guy and like speaking to like the House of Representatives, and he's like, "How many times did you do this? More, 50, more." I was like, "How many times is James Cook gonna go touch the ball today?"
Yeah.
So he had a really good game. You mentioned Dalton Kincaid, a huge grab to
Yeah.
set that up. I really like that play, the Elijah Moore deep ball. I mean,
that
that's
was
one.
great. That was a
That's
great
one where you
catch.
feel like you haven't had that connectivity between Moore and Allen, but that was a really good shining moment for this offense as well. I know they blew out the Panthers, but there were a lot of questions about this team. And
Definitely.
and I still think there are some things this team has to work out offensively, but that was a really good team that they had to go and beat today at home in a tough just tough game. I want to say tough environment because
Yeah.
they're home, but just a tough scenario to be in because you can either knock yourself really out of the division race, you can 2 games back of the Patriots, it gives the Chiefs some life, but they got it done there too. So offensively, I think that's what stood out. Defensively, though, is
Yeah.
really where the Bills won this one today. And you start with the pass rush. I think that's just overall a good way to start this one.
Yeah, I think that they all collectively were creating problems for the Chiefs. Now, a lot of that has to do with some of the injuries on the Chiefs' offensive line,
Yep.
but that's a game that you need your front four to win, and they did pretty consistently,
Yep.
which is why they pressured Patrick Mahomes so much. I think I saw the rate from Next Gen Stats, 53%
Yeah,
of the time.
that's nuts.
That's absurd. So clearly that is a formula that leads to success, and when you're able to get home on Patrick Mahomes, that will lead to some other players being able to make plays. And I think that's kind of the big conversation or the big spotlight in a game like this. Of course, everybody outside of Western New York and outside of Kansas City is going to be talking about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of this game, I think of guys like Dalton Kincaid on offense, but then I think of guys like Cole Bishop
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
Max Hairston on defense who really, really started to make big plays, which is a great sign for the Bills because they needed
That's what the doctor ordered.
right. They needed like an influx of athleticism and speed,
And youth.
oh my goodness, are those two guys providing it?
I should have known, Matt, when we saw that picture earlier in the week of the Pope holding the 14 jersey,
Yeah.
that a bishop would go off tonight. I should
Yeah.
have seen it coming from a mile away.
Good joke.
Thank
Well
you,
done. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thanks, buddy.
You know, I'm the dad of the group, but he's the one making the dad jokes apparently.
But yeah, no, I mean, listen, we have, and I think we've talked to Sean about this over the course of the season. And in this training
Yeah.
camp, you know this, we have really questioned Cole Bishop and what he was as a second-year
good.
safety.
Who's good in this game?
Yeah, if you're still critical or some criticism out there, the haters don't really have a lot to say about Cole Bishop. He played his best game as a Buffalo Bill, no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 4 passes defended. I think he had 7 combined tackles. Several of those plays were notable plays. He was all over the field. He was flying out there. I asked Sean McDermott after the game about Cole Bishop's game, and he said, I could feel him out there. there, and that's what they want to see. They want to see that continued growth. The athleticism is notable. He's able to undercut a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 route. Mahomes, he breaks up the pass. Then he makes a 4th down stop where he's able to get
Huge.
a pass break
Yep.
up. So just he really, really flashed in this game. And so did Max Harrison.
He also
right?
stopped, just real quick.
Yeah, he also he had a huge hit on Travis Kelce at the end of the first half. Kept the touchdown out, so that was a big play. And then Max Harrison, right? Running stride for stride with Xavier Worthy down the field, being able to look like he belongs, and then the interception at the end of the game. It was just they're more explosive when he is on the field.
Yes.
And I wonder how long it is until he takes over full time to be the second cornerback, because I think that they'll do this rotation a little bit longer, but I think that rotation starts to flip, and I think it becomes
absolutely.
Max Hairston's job, and then it's just more and more and more, because it feels like he's ready to take on this workload.
To me, it feels like by December. I feel like at that moment.
Oh, I think it's even sooner. I feel like it could be
like Houston. You think like
the
the
Bucs game? Because I think
that's two weeks from
I
now,
think
yeah.
that they maybe do a rotation one more week, and then it's Max Hairston's job.
What I loved Max up at the podium, because we don't haven't got really hear from him in the podium. I thought he was really insightful. Just obviously, like the smile was just kind of radiated in the room. A guy who's a rookie, so excited, and his first career NFL interception was off Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah,
which is
it's
nuts.
crazy.
And he kind of like called that earlier in the week too, as what a moment that would have been.
You know what's funny is we have talked at times about how one of the flaws of the Bills is that it felt like they had a defense that was kind of designed to beat a team or compete with a team like the Chiefs, but that speed was a huge factor in this game. Like sometimes they can get bullied, and sometimes teams are able to really run on them. And in this game they didn't have Isaiah Pacheco, so then they're going against Kareem Hunt. So you know that they're going to pass the ball a ton, but the Bills were able to get them off the field on 3rd down at a pretty high rate. The 4th and 17 play was a disaster, and that was, almost very, very detrimental to this game. But the speed was noticeable. Their ability to rush the passer was noticeable. The Michael Hoyt injury really, really stinks for this team, because he was looking like a fantastic addition for this defense. And now torn Achilles. I mean, he's done for
I said it.
probably 10 months.
Yeah, I said it to you when we were working in the press conference room after the game. It's like, injuries happen. And I know that, like, there's a lot of other NFL teams that go through this and the injury breaks. Michael Hoyt is like another example that always just feels like with this, and going back to even Ed last week, it is one massive step forward. We are talking about a lot of great things, but it is like 2 steps back, a significant piece. Because I know his guy's a game and a half in, and you're like, well, he couldn't have been really that significant. He's only had 6 quarters of NFL action as a Buffalo Bill. I think that's all you needed. I think the tape spoke for itself. I think what you saw from Michael Hoyt spoke for itself. That is a significant loss for this team, and I think that will duly, very much so, impact what the trade deadline looks like for Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills, because he showed that makes this Bills defense it takes it up a whole nother level. You need somebody like that to come in there. And I don't know, with Michael Hoyt being out, is there anybody on this roster that you feel like could come in and step in to do that production?
No, because they wanted it to be Javon Solomon, but Javon Solomon I do not think has thrived in the role like Michael Hoyt has. And I understand Javon Solomon is still a young player, so we'll see what they do. I do think that this means at the trade deadline 2 places that they're targeting. I think they're going to target somebody on the defensive line, and I do think that they'll still target a wide receiver, as they should. Now, obviously, we'll talk more about the trade deadline tomorrow on Monday as we get ready for that on Tuesday. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to close out with?
The only thing I just didn't, for those who don't know this, but I didn't say Michael Hoyt has torn his Achilles. Sean McDermott did confirm that. So I didn't even talk about the injury. I just talked about the reaction to it. Did you? Yeah. No, I just think, listen, my closing thought is everybody has gone in this week like, oh, well, if the Bills lose in the regular season, maybe this year they'll be in the playoffs. I think there's too much at stake for the Bills.
Yeah.
Knowing that the New England Patriots still have a 4th-place schedule, a pretty soft schedule, you still have one more head-to-head matchup with them. You need to be able to keep pace with the Patriots because they're playing really well in the division. You also now essentially put yourself 3 games ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs with a tiebreaker. They're now with 4 losses, the Bills with 2. This was an important game. I don't really care for that argument about, like, I understand, like, the superstitious Bills fans are like,
it's a stupid argument.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it doesn't mean what happens in this game doesn't have any correlation to what will happen if they play each other in the playoffs, but you want to set yourself up for the best possible outcome, and that outcome having to potentially come through here is a heck of a lot more, I guess, comfortable than it would be going back to Arrowhead. Like, you don't want to have to go to
100%.
Arrowhead if you can
100%.
avoid it. And if that means the Bills have to play a game here in the playoffs against the Chiefs, you feel much better. Even though they have beaten you here as well, you still feel much better about playing them in your home building. Like, it's just like a no-brainer.
Yes, I mean, go back to like the Ravens game in the AFC Divisional last year. Imagine that game's in Baltimore. How much different it could have been.
They
Right?
lose that game
is
in
here.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
They lose that game in Baltimore. They are a much better team inside this building. They have a massive home field advantage. I think that there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic about where this team is trending, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I also do think that this should be a bit of a wake-up call to the front office, to the powers that be. You've got a team in a pretty open AFC that is good enough to go on a run.
Yep.
Attack this window,
Mm-hmm.
even if that means mortgaging parts of your future with draft picks, whatever. They haven't even consistently drafted that well. I do not care. Go out and get some difference makers. I'm going to sneeze, so let's end this video.
Okay, well, God bless you. For
Thank
Matt
you.
Boulay, I'm Dom Tibbetts. Bills win 28-21. We'll see you next time.